Hi, my name is Glenn Greenwald, and I'm a journalist with the Intercept.
Hi Glenn, I'm Khalil from Canada. I want to know if governments can legitimately counter the threats that they face without an incursion into our privacy. Thanks.
Yeah, actually, it's very easy for governments to do that. I think the critical difference is one between mass surveillance and targeted surveillance. So with targeted surveillance, governments are required to identify people where there's evidence to believe that they're actually engaged in some sort of threatening behavior or terrorist activity or other violent criminality, and then convince a court that there's enough evidence to justify monitoring them, and then target their surveillance apparatus specifically on those people, the people who are actually posing a threat. Unfortunately, that isn't what the U.S. government and its allies in the surveillance partnership are doing. They're engaged in mass surveillance, where they're subjecting entire populations, hundreds of millions of people, to indiscriminate surveillance with no evidence that they've done anything wrong.
Hi Glenn, I'm Ghazala Irshad. In your opinion, is there ever a time when journalists should defer to national security interests, as some people suggested you should have done in the case of Edward Snowden?
Well, first of all, when Edward Snowden gave us documents in Hong Kong, he gave us many, many tens of thousands and asked us not to go and publish them all, but instead to vet them very carefully and to make certain that we only publish documents that are necessary for the public debate, to be informed, but not that could jeopardize innocent people. And in the time that we've had the Snowden documents, the year and a half or so, we've only published a small percentage of the documents that he gave us at his request. So obviously our actions demonstrate that we do believe that there are times when things are kept legitimately secret, and that it's not our role to just simply go and publish everything we can possibly get our hands on. At the same time, I don't think it's appropriate for journalists to defer to the claims of national security officials that things shouldn't be published. When we go to the government in the instances where we've demanded very specific grounds, very concrete evidence to justify their view that things shouldn't be published. In the overwhelming majority of cases, they fail to provide any of that concrete evidence. They just talk in very vague generalities about how we're going to help the terrorists or jeopardize national security. And in those cases where they're just using empty buzz phrases, we don't defer to their wishes. 98% of their requests not to publish are ones that we've disregarded.
Hi, Mr. Greenwald. After you postponed your grand finale announcement earlier this year to investigate claims by the US government, you ultimately only released 5 names on the NSA watch list. A lot of people had expected you to release many more. And my question for you is, are you planning to release more names, and if so, when?
There was a real miscommunication or misunderstanding surrounding that story. We had actually never intended to release huge numbers of names. And if you think about it for a few minutes, it's not difficult to understand why that is. If we reveal that somebody is on an NSA list and is being targeted under a FISA warrant, it means that the NSA decided in the first instance that they are either a foreign agent or an agent of a terrorist organization, then went to the Justice Department, convinced the Justice Department of that, and the Justice Department in turn went and convinced the FISA court of that. Now we know that that process is actually extremely unreliable. The FISA court is just a rubber stamp. But still, it's really a huge stigma to have it be revealed that all of those agencies inside the United States decided that you are actually an agent of a foreign power or of a terrorist organization and deserve scrutiny and monitoring. And so a lot of people, in fact most, who we went to get their consent to report that they were on the list, because we didn't want to do any reporting of people's names without their consent, were actually petrified and did not want to be identified because they knew that it would follow them around for the rest of their lives.
Hi Glenn, my name is NSA, and I'm a producer with AJ+. My question to you is, what would it take to rein in the NSA, and is that even possible?
There's a lot of really encouraging developments since we began doing the Snowden reporting that I think are going to rein in the NSA. Just this week it was reported that Brazil is constructing a new system of internet cables to connect to Portugal and circumvent the United States. So if countries start to build new infrastructure for the internet that moves away from US control and domination, that'll severely undermine the ability of the NSA to monitor the entire internet. There are also all kinds of tensions now between companies like Facebook and Google and Yahoo about creating new products that have very sophisticated forms of encryption that neither the government nor those companies can access because they know that their users are demanding it. And the government is petrified of this. And you see the government trying to demonize these companies now as helping the terrorists or the like, because the more encryption there is with these companies' products, the more difficult it will be for the NSA to do their spying. And then finally, the ability of individual users to know the extent to which their privacy is being compromised and the urgent need to use their own encryption is critically important, because the more people use encryption, the more people protect the anonymity and privacy of their internet activities, the more difficult it is for the NSA and its partners to engage in mass surveillance.